Let me tell you something real. The world is not interested in your excuses. It does not care how exhausted you feel, how many times someone has betrayed your trust, or how often you have been overlooked, underestimated, or cast aside. Life does not hand out compassion freely. But here is the reality. You were never created to blend into the crowd. You were designed to rise above it. And if you want to survive in this world, if you want to thrive in it, you must learn how to be smarter than the world around you. You must learn how to navigate it with wisdom and precision. I am not talking about manipulation, and I am not talking about deceit or cruelty. I am talking about moving with strategy, thinking with clarity, and living with awareness. I am talking about the kind of intelligence that is carved out of pain, the wisdom that grows from your scars, from the nights you had no one but yourself to lean on, and the days when the only things that kept you going were hope and a backbone forged from steel. You want to command your space? You want to enter a room and know that no one can take advantage of you? Then pay attention, because I am about to give you 5 rules that can change the course of your life. 5 rules that draw the line between those who are forgotten and those who are remembered forever. And if you truly commit to living by them, you will never again be anyone's fool. Rule number 1. Learn to control your emotions before they take control of you. Let me ask you something that cuts deep. How many times have you lost something valuable? Not because of what someone else did, but because of the way you reacted. Maybe it was an opportunity, a meaningful relationship, your sense of dignity or self-respect. Be brutally honest with yourself. Emotions are powerful forces, but if left unmanaged, they can become toxic. A man who cannot control his anger, his fear, or his insecurity is not in control of his life. He becomes a puppet, and the world pulls his strings. People see his weak points, and they push them for sport. And before he realizes it, he is dancing to a rhythm that was never his. But the individual who cultivates discipline over his emotions, who learns to feel deeply but remain grounded, that person is dangerous in all the right ways. That is a person who has walked through chaos and still carries himself as though the universe bends in his favor. You have to reach a point where you allow yourself to feel everything, but respond only when the moment is right and always on your terms. Control does not mean being cold or numb. It means being wise. It means not letting someone else's ignorance or disrespect drag you into confusion or disorder. You do not need to respond to every insult that comes your way. You are not obligated to address every voice that tries to provoke you. You are the lion, and lions do not flinch when small dogs bark. You do not need to defend your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to allow someone else's bitterness to infect your mindset. When someone disrespects you, take a moment to observe. Take your time to process. Respond only if and when it serves your peace. And sometimes, the best response is no response at all. Because the moment you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, you give your power away. That is how the average live. But you were never meant for average. You were not born to be predictable. You were meant to rise, to lead, to take control without ever losing your composure. Have you ever noticed how the most dangerous individuals in any space are usually the quietest ones? That is not a coincidence. Stillness is a weapon. Composure is strength. While everyone else is acting on impulse, throwing punches in the dark, you remain steady, you pay attention, you analyze, and when the moment calls for it, you strike with accuracy. The loudest voice in the room is rarely the one with real power. It is the person sitting silently, watching, listening, reading the energy in the room who holds the most control. That is the person who should never be underestimated. Be that person. Never let the world see what unsettles you. Never allow your face to reveal your thoughts or your next move. This is how you stay one step ahead of manipulators, critics, and those who pretend to be allies while plotting against you. Stay composed. Your silence during the storm will speak louder than any argument or outburst ever could. Emotions are part of being human, but they were never meant to be your master. Anger, jealousy, and fear are signals. They are not steering wheels. And if you allow those emotions to take the lead, they will drive you straight into regret. So what is the solution? You train. You teach yourself to pause before you speak. You observe before you act. You develop the ability to delay your response until your logic, not your feelings, chooses the direction. You do not suppress your emotions, you refine them. You use them as tools, not shackles. You transform your pain into purpose. You take your frustration and shape it into strategy. And when someone tries to provoke you, when they try to break your calm, you look them in the eye and remind yourself of one unshakable truth. I control this moment. I decide how this ends. That right there is where true dominance lives. Let me share a secret with you. Real power is found in self-control. That is why so few people possess it. It requires far more strength to remain calm than to lash out. It demands more character to walk away than to start a battle you will later regret. Mastering your emotions does not mean allowing others to walk over you. It means having the wisdom to know which conflicts are worth your time and which are nothing but distractions. The truth is, most of what angers you is not worthy of your energy. Most of what disappoints you is simply a form of redirection. It is life or God showing you that something was never meant for you. But if you are too absorbed in your feelings, you will miss the message. And when you miss the message, you repeat the mistake. This is not just about avoiding conflict. It is about stepping into your purpose with clarity. Because when your emotions are out of control, your vision becomes clouded. You miss opportunities, you make poor decisions, you place your trust in the wrong people, you speak at the wrong time, you burn bridges that you may need later. But when your mind is clear and your spirit is grounded, you become untouchable. You move through storms as if they were ordinary days. People throw shade and you continue to grow in it. They underestimate you and you let their ignorance serve as your camouflage. Because true emotional discipline is how you make powerful moves in silence. Understand this. If someone can provoke you at will, they can control you. If they know how to push your buttons, they can lead you off course. If they know how to stir your insecurity, they can influence your decisions. And if they can influence your decisions, then you are no longer living by your own design. You are dancing to someone else's rhythm. That is not power. That is dependence. That is emotional slavery. So ask yourself honestly, who is in control here? Is it you or your pain, your fear, your pride? You need to take the wheel of your own emotional state. Because if you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead others. If you cannot stay grounded, you cannot protect what matters. You cannot win at life if every passing emotion can pull you off center. I'm not saying this as someone who has never failed. I am saying it because I have learned the hard way. You will feel the urge to react. You will want to defend yourself, to shout, to prove your worth. But the higher you rise, the more pressure will test you. The more distractions will try to lure you in. That is why you must train your mind to be stronger than your emotions. You must learn to sit in discomfort without letting it defeat you. You must release your need to be understood, to be praised, to be validated. Sometimes you will have to walk away in silence even when your pride is screaming to speak. Sometimes you will have to rise above when every part of you wants to tear it all down. That is the path of a warrior. And make no mistake, you are built for the battlefield. But the real battlefield is your own mind. If you want to outthink others, begin by outthinking yourself. Outsmart your anger. Outsmart your ego. Outsmart that voice inside you that craves revenge when you should be seeking victory. Your legacy will not be defined by how loudly you roared, but by how well you governed yourself. So control your emotions and never allow them to control you. This is not only the first rule of total dominance, it is the foundation on which every other rule must be built. Get this part right, and the world will never be able to play you again. Now let us move to rule number 2. Learn everything. Speak little. Most people do not realize this until it is too late. Power is not gained through talking. It is earned through knowing. There is something sacred in silence, something heavy, something commanding. In a world where everyone is trying to impress, to be seen, to be heard, The one who says the least often carries the most weight. The world respects wisdom, and wisdom does not raise its voice. It speaks with calm authority. When you walk into a space and choose your words carefully, people notice. They lean in, they pay attention. Because when you speak with intention, every word holds more value. But before you speak, make sure you know what you are talking about. You must learn constantly, study everything, watch patterns, read people, understand the game, and then choose your words sparingly. Because the one who understands the most and speaks the least is the one who always has the upper hand. Every time you speak without purpose, you give something away. Your thoughts, your insecurities, your strategy, your vulnerabilities. People will analyze your words, twist them, and use them to their advantage. But when you master the discipline of silence, when you speak only when your words are sharp and deliberate, you become untouchable. You confuse your enemies, you inspire respect in your allies, you protect your peace. This is not about being mysterious for the sake of it. It is about being intentional. It is about carrying power within your quiet presence. Because people cannot manipulate what they do not understand. They cannot block a move they cannot see coming. And they cannot control someone whose thoughts they cannot read. Learn to let your silence speak louder than their noise. Life is a constant classroom, and every person you meet, every room you walk into, every mistake you make is trying to teach you something. But if you are too busy speaking, too focused on being heard, you will miss the lessons quietly unfolding around you. The wisest people in any environment are usually the ones listening the most. They are not looking to impress you. They are analyzing you. They are paying attention to the way you speak, the words you choose, the energy you bring. They are observing patterns, noting the inconsistencies, finding the gaps in your logic. And when they choose to speak, they make every word count. Their words are intentional, calculated, and powerful. That is exactly what you should be aiming for. Stop chasing attention. Start cultivating awareness. Learn to absorb knowledge like a sponge. Be the person who sits in the corner, paying attention, processing everything until the right moment presents itself. And when it does, you move with clarity and precision, leaving an impact that cannot be ignored. If your goal is to outsmart others, then you must know more than they think you do and speak less than they expect. That is the secret to moving with purpose and striking with strength. Let people misjudge your silence. Let them believe you are quiet because you have nothing to offer. Let them get comfortable. That is when your power begins to grow. In a world obsessed with constant noise, silence is one of the greatest forms of power. But it is not just any silence. It must be a silence rooted in depth. You have to be constantly learning. Read the books they are not reading. Ask the questions they are not thinking to ask. Observe the things they ignore. Study everything. Understand people, systems, psychology, economics, conflict, peace, success, and failure. Knowledge is your armor. It is your weapon. It is your compass. And as your knowledge grows, your need to speak begins to fade. True confidence is not found in volume, but in clarity. Think about it. The most powerful moves are the ones no one sees coming. That is because the people making them are not announcing them. They are studying. They are planning. They are moving quietly behind the scenes while others are busy bragging about goals they will never reach. Do not be the person who broadcasts their ambitions. Be the one who reveals only results. Do not explain your mindset. Embody it. The ones who constantly need to talk are the ones seeking validation. The ones who truly know their worth are content in their silence. When you commit to learning deeply and speaking with intention, you preserve your energy for what truly matters. You focus on strategy. You focus on discipline. You focus on execution. That is what separates you from the crowd. Every word you speak comes with a cost. It takes your time, your focus, and sometimes your leverage. The more others know about your thoughts, your plans, your beliefs, the more they can use them against you. The less you say, the less they can figure out. You must protect your inner world the same way you protect your personal space. You would not leave the front door of your home open for anyone to walk in. So why do you leave your thoughts, your dreams, your goals unguarded for the world to pick apart? Learn to protect your mental space. Speak only when your words serve a purpose. Speak only when your message is grounded in calmness, clarity, and strength. That is how real leaders communicate. That is how kings and queens carry themselves. Most people believe that talking is power, but words only carry power when they are backed by substance. Without that, it is all just noise, and noise fades quickly. If you want to dominate in life, learn everything you can and speak only when necessary. Be so informed that your silence creates tension. Be so intentional that your few words cut deeper than pages of empty talk. Be so mentally sharp that people seek your presence for guidance, not gossip. And above all, never let the chaos of the world pressure you into revealing what should remain private. Patience is part of strategy. Silence is part of power. Every moment you choose to listen instead of speak is a moment you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared. While they are talking, you are transforming. So when you enter a space, carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows far more than they reveal. Do not rush to prove anything. Do not beg to be understood. The world may not recognize your value at first, and that is perfectly fine. Because when you do speak, your words will carry weight. When you finally act, your presence will leave a mark. Keep studying. Keep sharpening your mind. Speak less. Listen more. Because in the end, the one who listens the longest becomes the one who leads. The quiet student becomes the master. The silent figure becomes the storm. And the one who learns everything while speaking little is the one no one sees coming until it is far too late. Number 3 is this: move with precision, not with permission. There comes a point in your life when you understand that waiting for someone to validate you is the very thing keeping you from moving forward. You keep hoping someone will notice your value, open a door for you, or give you a chance. But the reality is, no one is coming to grant you permission to rise. You have to claim it yourself. You have to step as if what you're after already belongs to you. You have to carry yourself like the opportunity is already sealed and secured in your name. Power does not belong to the hesitant. It does not belong to the person constantly searching for a sign of approval. It belongs to the one who studies the landscape, sharpens their tools, and moves with intention. Precision over permission. This is the mindset of those who rise to the top. You do not ask the world if it's acceptable for you to be great. You show the world what greatness looks like. You were not born to wait quietly at the back of the line until someone tells you to step forward. When you operate with precision, you stop chasing and begin choosing. You move with intention, not anxiety. You do not wait for someone to say go, because in your mind, the race already belongs to you. Think about how many people never begin because they are still waiting for someone else to confirm they are ready. The ones who win do not wait. They prepare in silence. They study. They build in the shadows. And when their time comes, they are not seeking entrance. They are claiming their space. The world naturally moves aside for the one who knows exactly where they are headed. You must treat your life like a mission, and missions are not debated or second-guessed. When a pilot prepares for takeoff, they do not ask the passengers for permission to fly. They follow a detailed flight plan, commit to the destination, and lift off with confidence. That is how you must move through your own journey. It is time to set aside hesitation. Let go of doubt. Let go of waiting for someone else to affirm your readiness. Begin to walk like the ground already belongs to you. Speak like your voice carries weight. Decide like your vision is meant to live. Because every time you wait for permission, you surrender control. And once control is handed over, it is difficult to reclaim. But when you move with precision, you stay in command. You lead instead of follow. You direct instead of ask. Make no mistake. Precision is not about rushing or acting recklessly. It is about clear thinking, confident action, and excellent execution. When you move with precision, The preparation is already complete before anyone even sees you. You have trained, you have studied, you have failed and grown stronger. So when you step forward, you do not need a round of applause. You have alignment. You are not showing up to impress. You are showing up because you have earned your moment. That kind of power does not demand attention. It naturally commands it. Your silence becomes a source of strength. Your steps speak for you. Your vision becomes impossible to ignore. You do not wait for doors to open. You build your own and walk through without hesitation. The difference between those who dream and those who dominate is this. Dominators do not wait for the perfect moment. They do not wait for encouragement or permission. They make a decision. They act, they learn, they adjust, they stumble forward. They are not looking for comfort, they are looking for clarity. And clarity only comes through movement. You do not discover who you are by thinking endlessly. You discover it by doing. When you move with precision, you turn your mistakes into lessons and your lessons into progress. You do not pause. You do not hand your momentum to someone else. The path might be hard, but it will be yours. And that is where freedom begins. Not in perfection, but in deliberate, focused movement. Sometimes the loudest chains are not around your wrists or ankles. They are in your mind. That voice that whispers you are not ready, that questions your right to dream, that asks who you think you are. That voice is a liar. And if you listen to it, it will keep you small. That is why precision matters. When you are locked in on your mission, there is no room for doubt. When you are focused on your next step, fear cannot find a way in. You cannot be held hostage by rejection when you are no longer asking for approval. You cannot be shaken by criticism when your purpose is greater than their opinion. People may not understand your path, and that is fine. They were not given your vision. You were. So protect it, walk in it, own it. Greatness does not announce itself. It reveals itself through consistent action, through sharp decisions, through disciplined progress. Every single day that you move forward without waiting for applause is a day that strengthens your foundation. You become clearer, stronger, and more grounded. Move not because it is popular. Move because it is aligned with your truth. Speak not for attention. Speak because your words carry weight. Act not to impress, but to create lasting impact. When you learn to move with precision, you stop reacting and start building. You stop chasing things and begin shaping your future. And slowly, the world begins to catch up to the strength you have always carried within. From this moment forward, stop waiting. Decide who you are. Decide what you want. Then move. Move forward even when others doubt you. Move forward even if they mock you. Move even when no one is watching, because eventually, they will. One day they will look back and realize you never asked for a single thing. And that is what true power looks like. You do not demand attention. You earn respect through presence. You do not wait for someone to tell you it is your turn. You take your place with grace, with strength, and with clarity. Because when you truly know your worth, you stop moving with hesitation. And when you move like that with confidence and intention, you do not just change your life, you change everything around you. Now here is number 4. Turn every setback into strategy. Life is going to hit you. That is not a possibility, it is a certainty. There will be moments when it feels like the air has been knocked out of your chest. Moments when everything you have built crumbles in front of you. You will lose things and people you thought you could never live without. You will lose time. You will lose opportunities. And during those moments, a voice inside may whisper that you are finished, that there is no way forward. But hear this clearly. That voice is wrong. That is not your end. It is your beginning. Because within every setback lies a seed of growth, of wisdom, of direction. Pain is not just punishment, it is preparation. The people who reach greatness are not the ones who avoid hardship. They are the ones who transform every loss, every delay, every disappointment into a new strategy. They do not let pain paralyze them, they let it sharpen them. You must stop looking at failure as a dead end. It is not a wall. It is a curve in the road with a lesson waiting to be learned. When you fall, when things break down, when the world tells you no, that is not rejection. It is redirection. You are being led towards something deeper, something stronger. The strongest individuals you know are not the ones who had an easy path. They are the ones who turned every obstacle into opportunity. They stared into the storm and said, "I will not break, I will build. I will not panic, I will plan." The difference between those who are defeated and those who become dangerous is how they respond. Defeated people stay down. Dangerous people rise up with more insight, more fire, and more control. When a door closes, you do not sit in front of it and cry forever. You study it, you figure out why it closed, you learn how it works, and then you build a better door and walk through it on your own terms. That is the strategy. Setbacks are not here to destroy you. They are here to show you where you need to grow. If something fell apart, ask yourself why. If you were rejected, ask what that pain is pointing to. Pain is a compass. It always leads you to purpose. Struggle is a disguise. It hides the tools you need to level up. You can sit in the ashes of what went wrong, or you can rise with a new blueprint in hand. But the choice is yours. You have to make it. Will this define you or will it refine you? What separates leaders from followers is not whether they get knocked down. It is what they do after it happens. Do they blame others? Do they give up? Or do they get quiet, turn inward, and return with a new fire burning inside them? Real power lives in the comeback. Not just any comeback, a calculated one. You analyze the mistake. You identify the weakness. You adjust the process. You do not repeat, you rebuild. You look your failure in the eye and break it down like a strategist. You do not ask why this is happening to you. You ask what you are meant to do with it. You turn your tears into tools and your pain into plans. That is how winners move. They do not waste what hurt them. They transform it into momentum. Sometimes the setback is not there to destroy your progress, but to shatter the comfort zone you were stuck in. Maybe you started to settle. Maybe you became distracted. Maybe you forgot who you really are. And it took that loss, that betrayal, that collapse to wake you up. It forced you to recalibrate. Setbacks have a strange way of realigning you with the vision you once had, but started to drift from. Think of it like this. A bow must be pulled backward before it launches the arrow forward. So maybe you are not falling apart. Maybe you are being positioned for something greater. Let that reshape the way you see what is happening. Let it awaken the strategist within. You have to become a student of your own setbacks. Every time life sends a new test your way, ask yourself what it is revealing. Maybe you need more focus. Maybe your circle needs to change. Maybe it is time to stop leaning on others for approval and start leaning on your own intuition. Strategy is not always about changing what is around you. Sometimes the most powerful shift comes when you change how you respond to adversity. Life will test you again and again, not to crush you, but to prepare you. Every time you pass a test, you gain a new tool. You become more calculated, more composed, more grounded. Setbacks become stepping stones the moment you stop stumbling over them and start stepping on them with purpose. Let me tell you something true. Setbacks do more than cause pain. They bring humility, and humility is the root of wisdom. In those low moments, you begin to listen more carefully. You start observing the details. You stop rushing and begin thinking clearly. The setback slows you down, not to defeat you, but to realign your direction. There is power in that pause. There is beauty in that stillness. The storm did not arrive to drown you. It came to teach you how to swim in deeper waters. Every great leader, every champion, every person who changed the world has lived through moments when everything fell apart. But they built again, not with the same mindset, but with a stronger one, forged in fire and grounded in strategy. And that is exactly how you will rise. Do not waste your suffering. Do not let your breakdown pass without purpose. Inside your most painful moments is a blueprint. You have to be willing to dig through the wreckage, extract the wisdom, and rise stronger. That is what true dominance looks like. It is not about a life without struggle. It is about having the courage to turn your pain into purpose, to transform your wounds into weapons. Your setbacks do not need to become your shame. They can become your story. And when the world witnesses how you walked through fire and came out carrying diamonds, they will understand that you were not just surviving. You were learning. You were planning. You were becoming unstoppable. Now let us talk about number 5. Be unpredictable. Make sure no one can trace your steps too easily. In a world that thrives on routines and familiarity, there is unmatched power in being the one no one can read. When others can anticipate your every move, they control you effortlessly. They follow your habits, predict your reactions, and slowly begin to guide your decisions. You are no longer leading, you are following their cues. But when you embrace unpredictability, when you break your usual patterns, when you refuse to repeat emotional habits, you become unreachable. Your adversaries cannot strike what they cannot locate. Your rivals cannot copy what they cannot comprehend. The secret to power in every arena, whether it is business, life, or relationships, is mystery. And mystery is created through movement without predictability. It is showing up differently. It is staying silent when they expect you to speak loudly. It is remaining calm when chaos surrounds you. It is carrying strength when others expect weakness. Being unpredictable is not about being erratic. It is about being deliberate and strategic. You are not out of control. You are just impossible to anticipate. Most people live on autopilot, following the same routines, thinking the same thoughts, reacting the same way. That makes them easy to control. If someone knows what you will do next, they can manipulate your path with ease. But when you change the rhythm, when you start thinking independently and acting in ways you never have before, it throws them off. They do not know how to respond. They get uncomfortable. And that is when your true power begins to rise. You must be ready to walk away when they expect you to beg. Remain silent when they expect you to explode. Succeed quietly when they are waiting for your collapse. Be the calm in the chaos. Let your inner peace become the unexpected force. The world expects emotional reactions. Offer them discipline. The world expects predictability. Offer them creativity and innovation. This is how you keep control, not through aggression, but through surprise. Unpredictability is a weapon many are not ready to face, because when you move unpredictably, you stay in control of your own narrative. You are no longer boxed in by others' expectations. You set new rules. You become the one others watch but cannot follow. People do not know how to handle someone who does not explain themselves. They get confused when they meet someone who moves without making announcements. That kind of presence rattles the predictable mind. And the moment others can no longer read you, they can no longer reach you. You are no longer part of their plan. You disrupt their expectations. You break the rhythm they relied on. You stop being a song they can dance to. You become a storm they cannot prepare for. That is how you become a force, not just a person following along, not a pawn in someone else's game, a force. They will call you distant. Let them. They will call you mysterious. Let them. They will say you have changed, and they will be right, because the old version of you was too easy to understand. The old you reacted emotionally, followed the script, showed up just to be seen. But the new you sees more and says less. You think in silence. You win in silence. You no longer respond to every challenge. You do not explain every decision. You let others guess. You let them assume. You let them wonder. And in that quiet space of uncertainty, you grow stronger. You advance. You gain ground while they try to make sense of your next step. Because every time someone tries to box you in with an old pattern, you reveal that you have evolved. You have changed the rules. You have rewritten your own operating system. And now they cannot play the same game with you because they no longer understand the rules. Even in the battlefields of life, unpredictability becomes your protection. Think not like a foot soldier, but like a general. A general does not reveal all their tactics. A general misleads the enemy, confuses the strategy, and then strikes with precision. That is who you are now. Stop giving people blueprints to your heart. Stop offering free access to your next move. Make them earn that kind of privilege. Keep them uncertain. Keep them guessing. Not because you are playing games, but because you understand that not everyone around you knows how to handle consistency that lacks intention. Even when others do not mean harm, predictability can be misused. It becomes a weakness when it is not guided by strategy. But when you are unpredictable, people pause. They hesitate. And in that hesitation, you gain ground. You outmaneuver without lifting your voice, without revealing your hand. Being unpredictable strengthens you from within. It means you have broken free from the urge to be constantly understood, from the need to be liked, from the desire to always be approved. You are no longer reactive. You are intentional. You no longer follow trends. You follow your mission. You enter rooms without needing attention because your presence carries authority all by itself. You do not raise your voice. You elevate your standards. That is what it means to move differently. That is how you disrupt the expectations of those still waiting for the old version of you to return. And the power of unpredictability lies in this. The people who truly value you will not demand constant explanation. They will not require clarity at every turn. They will respect your evolution, even when they cannot fully comprehend it. Let me speak plainly. Every great disruptor in history rose to greatness because they refused to follow the expected path. They succeeded by breaking rhythm, by taking unexpected turns, by remaining still when others reacted, by thinking differently, moving differently, showing up differently. Unpredictability was never a flaw in their design. It was the design. That design keeps you in control. When no one can anticipate your next step, they cannot block your path. When your growth cannot be tracked, it cannot be stopped. Move like water, adaptable, powerful, untouchable. Do not just avoid the trap. Become the force that destroys it. So stop apologizing for being hard to read. That is not a flaw. That is wisdom. Be kind, but not easily forecasted. Be consistent, but not patterned. Be powerful, but never desperate for attention. You do not owe the world a map to your soul. Your next move should be a mystery. Let them wonder. Let them wait. Because power is rarely loud. Most of the time it is silent, deliberate, and unseen until it becomes undeniable. And when the moment comes, when they least expect it, when the world assumes you have slowed down or stepped back, you rise, not with noise, not with announcement, but with clarity, confidence, and momentum. That is how true power operates. That is how kings move. That is how legacies are born. That is how dominance is earned. Not through chaos or loud declarations, but through mystery, composure, and the mastery of being unpredictable. Now for number 6, win without revealing the war. There is a different kind of strength, one that does not need to shout, one that does not call attention to itself, one that does not fly flags to declare victory. It is the kind of power held by those who move in silence, the kind whose wins remain unseen until they are undeniable. Real power is not always about showing force. It is about maintaining discipline. It is about knowing you can dominate, but choosing to move so gracefully that no one even realized a battle took place. The loudest voice in the room is rarely the strongest. The person constantly seeking recognition is usually the one with the least to offer. But when you operate from deep-rooted certainty, from quiet confidence, validation becomes irrelevant. You no longer need to show others the struggle because your outcome speaks for itself. People will doubt you. Let them. They will underestimate you. Let them. That is your advantage. You cannot be defended against if the attack is never seen coming. Play the long game. Stay focused. Remain silent. And when everything settles, they will find themselves standing in a battlefield they did not even realize you crossed. And you will be the one still standing. The mistake most people make is assuming that strength must be loud. That is shallow thinking. True strength is quiet. It is the ability to stay calm when your pride is provoked. It is choosing peace over reaction. It is staying steady when everything else is shaking. It is holding your integrity while your name is being dragged through the mud. Because the moment you stoop down and engage at their level, you lose the higher ground. That is exactly what they want. They want to see you angry. They want you off balance. They want you to act out of emotion. Why? Because emotional decisions are weak decisions. And the moment you lose control, you lose command. So instead, you remain composed. You nod. You smile. You walk away. And you make your real moves where no one can see them. That is how real dominance works. It is not reactive. It is not attention-seeking. It is calm. It is strategic. It refuses to fight battles that do not deserve energy. People will provoke you. Life will throw tests, betrayals, lies, and false accusations your way. And everything in you will feel the urge to clap back, to expose, to respond. But that is not the path of the wise. That is not how lasting power is built. You do not answer to the petty when you are walking among the powerful. You do not stop to battle every bark when your focus is on the throne. Your mission is too important to waste energy on distractions. Let others shout. Let them throw stones. You rise in silence. You win with clarity. You lead without announcing the war. That is the mark of true strength. That is the path to unshakable dominance. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a form of strategy. It is the decision to choose which battles truly matter and to let the rest fade into the background where they belong. Your energy is too valuable to waste on proving what only time will eventually make clear. Because when everything settles, truth stands firm without needing defense. There is strength in allowing your success to speak louder than your emotions. There is power in letting your consistency drown out the noise of gossip. Let your growth become the response. Let your peace become the answer. Let your character, shaped in private and refined in quiet moments, do all the talking when others expect you to fall apart. Your silence should never be mistaken for defeat. It is the preparation ground where greatness is built. While others are arguing, you are building. While they laugh and mock, you are mastering your craft. While they watch, you are working. Because real battles are not performed on stages, and true warriors do not fight to impress an audience. They fight for legacy. And legacy is not created through reactions. It is created through resilience, through discipline, through a relentless focus on purpose. The highest level of power is self-mastery. And once you reach that level, you no longer feel the need to announce who you are. People will recognize it the moment you enter the room. Your presence, your discipline, your results will say everything. That is why it is dangerous to underestimate someone who does not speak loudly. They have walked through fires most people could not survive. They have weathered storms in silence. They have bled without needing sympathy. They have healed without needing recognition. Now they move with the weight of wisdom and the quiet confidence of someone who has already overcome. You do not need to prove your worth to people who are blind to value. You do not need to explain your path to people who never saw the vision. Your only job is to keep building, to keep growing, and to let the silence build the legend you are becoming. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful people in the room are usually the quietest? That is not just coincidence, it is mastery. They are the ones who observe more than they speak, who do not seek validation, who can leave a storm behind without making a sound. They are not avoiding confrontation. They have already counted the cost and chosen a higher path. They know that not every insult deserves a response. Some situations deserve nothing more than silence. Some people deserve nothing more than grace. Some moments are best answered with the quiet smile of someone who is already steps ahead. That is how real power operates. Not by engaging every critic, but by shining so brightly that the ones who try to dim you simply fade into the background. You rise while they rant. You succeed while they stumble. You lead without ever announcing the battle. To win without exposing the fight, you must master restraint. That means resisting the urge to react to every opinion. That means keeping your circle tight and sacred. That means releasing the need to explain yourself to those who never had the capacity to understand you. You move in silence because your mission speaks louder than your voice. You act with precision, not impulse. And when you move this way long enough, people begin to sense something different. They notice your stillness. They recognize that you are not easily shaken. You are not chasing attention. You are not dependent on recognition. You are grounded in something deeper. You have touched your purpose, and now the distractions of the world no longer have the power to pull you off course. This mindset transforms how you carry yourself. You no longer react to disrespect. You rise above it. You do not chase people. You attract what aligns with your calling. You do not argue. You observe. That level of presence is rare. Most people never reach it because they are too busy reacting, too desperate to be heard, too caught up in trying to win small battles instead of securing long-term victory. But the few who do rise above the noise, they create a silence so powerful that it shakes the ground beneath them. They leave a mark not by making noise, but by making moves. They tell their story not through words, but through work. And that story lasts. It outlives rumors, outlasts judgment, and overshadows anything spoken against them. Here is what you need to remember. If someone can provoke you, they can control you. But once you stop reacting, you take your power back. You break the cycle. You rewrite the narrative. You turn your silence into strength. That space between their provocation and your decision not to respond is where your true power is formed. That is where the chaos settles. That is where you become unstoppable. Because the person who cannot be provoked is the one who cannot be defeated. They move with principles instead of pressure. They act from purpose rather than pain. And they do not just win by reaching the top, they win by refusing to be dragged down by anything beneath their purpose. It does not mean you do not feel. It does not mean you are immune to pain. It means you have chosen a higher priority. You have chosen to serve your mission over your pride. You have made the decision to guard your purpose, even when ego begs to be fed. That choice, that refusal to be pulled into the noise, is the battle most people lose. But not you, because now you understand. The loudest noise often comes from the weakest source. And the strongest warriors in the world are often the quietest in the room. Those who have truly grown understand that peace is not passive. Peace is power. It is dominance in its highest form. It is not about overpowering others or crushing everything in your path. It is about having complete control over your direction. So complete, in fact, that no insult, no betrayal, and no attempt to throw you off course ever succeeds. Let the world observe. Let them whisper. Let them wonder what you are building. That is exactly what you want. Their confusion is your protection. Their uncertainty is your shield. Your silence is proof that your next move is unfolding quietly. Your elevation is happening in silence. And when the time comes, when your work speaks for itself, when your success becomes undeniable, when your breakthrough finally breaks through, there will be no need for explanations. There will be no arguments, no debates, only results, only impact, only victory. They will look around and ask, how did this happen? And the answer will not come from your lips. It will echo from your silence. Because you won a war they never saw. That is how you outsmart those who underestimated you. That is how you dominate without ever lowering yourself to their level. That is how you master the game without needing to play it loudly or publicly. So now, walk forward with that quiet power. Stay focused. Stay unshakable. The world may not see the war you are fighting, but they will feel the impact of your victory. Let me tell you something real. If you have made it this far, you are not like most people. You did not come here just looking for motivation. You came here looking for transformation. You were not searching for empty words. You came for fire. You wanted truth that would cut through the noise. And now, you have been given the mindset to move differently, to think strategically, to carry yourself as someone who never begs for respect, but commands it effortlessly with every step. From the start of this journey, you tapped into something raw and unfiltered. The mission was never about feeding ego or crushing others beneath your feet. It was about rising above the games they play, It was about becoming so composed, so centered, so focused that nothing and no one could pull you into their chaos. Because dominance is not built through noise. It is built through clarity. It is the man who remains still under pressure. It is the woman who stands tall when the world shakes around her. It is the soul that continues to rise even when everything is trying to pull them down. You were taught to control your emotions, because if you do not, they will control you. That is the foundation of real power. Discipline is the beginning of self-leadership. Power without control leads to destruction. You were reminded that before you can influence what is outside of you, you must master what is inside. The true game changer is never the one who shouts the loudest. It is the one who stays calm when the storm hits hardest. That calmness, that control, that is the difference between leaders and followers, between kings and pawns, between titans and the ordinary. Then came the lesson in silence. Learn everything, but speak little. That is the advantage they never expect. Your preparation is quiet. Your growth is hidden. While others waste time talking, you are absorbing. While they guess, you are watching. While they rush, you are planning. You take in everything, but you speak only when your words have weight. You speak with clarity, with intention. And when you do, people listen. That is influence. That is what power with purpose sounds like. You were told to stop waiting for permission and start moving with precision. Too many people are stuck waiting for a signal that will never come. But not you. You are done waiting. You create your own path. You do not wait for an invitation. You do not beg for a seat. You build your own table. Because real change begins when you decide that it is time to act. And when you do act with purpose, with focus, with confidence, there is no closed door that can hold you back. There is no gatekeeper who can block your rise. They will not understand how you move, and that is exactly the goal. And when life throws setbacks at you, you do not collapse. You do not break. You adapt. You learn. You adjust. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every betrayal becomes a blueprint. Every door that closes becomes an opportunity to design a better one. You were never meant to stop. You were meant to be redirected. Setbacks are not punishments. They are preparations. They humble you. They strengthen you. They strip away what is weak and expose what is true. You take that pain and turn it into power. You do not just recover. You rise wiser. You rise sharper. Then came the truth that changes the entire game. Become unpredictable. Let them think they know you. Let them write stories in their heads about how you will react. Then break that story completely. Show them something they cannot track. Speak when they expect silence. Remain silent when they expect rage. Succeed when they thought you would fall. Disappear when they expected a performance. Rebuild while they expect your collapse. Because that is how you dominate. Not by being predictable, not by following their rhythm, but by creating your own. You are not here to play the game by their rules. You are here to rewrite the entire structure. You do not follow a script, you break the mold. And when they finally realize they cannot anticipate your next move, they also realize they cannot stop your momentum. That is how power is built. That is how legends are made. And that is exactly who you are becoming. Because when people cannot predict you, they cannot control you. You remain a threat by remaining a mystery. Your actions begin to feel like magic. Your story becomes something legendary. And now we arrive at the master key, winning without ever revealing the war. That is the highest level of this entire game. That is where elite thinking lives. You do not need to announce your plans. You do not need to broadcast your pain. You do not need to share your victories or reveal your strategy. You move quietly, you train behind the scenes, you grow in the shadows, and by the time the spotlight finds you, you are already standing on the mountaintop. They will wonder how you arrived there. They will look around and see no trace of the struggle, no evidence of the climb, because you did not fight for attention. You fought for something greater. You fought for the crown without needing the crowd. Quietly, relentlessly. And now you wear it not for glory, but with peace. Every lesson you have received here is a weapon, but weapons only matter if you are willing to use them. The question is, will you pick them up? Will you put them into practice? Will you step into the role of a person who does more than listen? Someone who leads with purpose? Will you become the type of individual who does not react emotionally, but responds with calm strength? Will you begin to live in a way that no one else has the power to define your worth, your path, or your purpose? This world is filled with noise. It is filled with manipulation, with constant distractions. But you are no longer the same. You now carry something different. You move differently. You are sharper. You are calmer. You are stronger. You are more dangerous. And not because of the words you speak, but because of the foundation you have built in silence. Because of the trials you have endured without falling apart. Because of the strength you developed when no one else was paying attention. So as you leave this moment, do not just feel motivated, be changed. Let these truths echo in your spirit when doubt tries to creep in. Let them center you when the noise of the world gets overwhelming. Let them lift you when others try to pull you back down. You are not at the mercy of outside opinions anymore. You are not someone waiting for an opportunity to be handed to you. You are now the builder, the planner, the quiet force. You are the storm they never saw coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for walking this path. I hope you walk into your future with your head held high, your soul deeply rooted, and your inner fire fully lit. Now go forward. Be the presence that shakes the room without making a sound. Be the calm in the middle of chaos. Be the power that refuses to be stopped. May God bless your journey. Stay disciplined. Stay fearless. And never forget, your presence, your purpose, and your power will speak louder than any words ever could. You do not need to shout to be heard.